Take a deep breath and concentrate. Dictation will begin in 15 seconds. Get ready. Start.
Mr. Vice Chairman, sir, when I was speaking yesterday, I was referring to the problem of devaluation. I said that devaluation of the rupee had not been done after careful consideration, that the government had not learned any lesson from the past when the nation went in for devaluation not once but more than once. Out of ignorance and thoughtlessness, the government has resorted to devaluation. The foreign exchange position has not improved. The main purpose of the devaluation was to bring about adjustment in the exchange rate. The main intention was to increase exports and decrease imports. The main consideration was to bridge the gap in the balance of payments position. The main objective was not realized and it will not be realized. It was done at the behest of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Sir, devaluation is a very serious matter. Its consequences are serious. If it is undertaken thoughtlessly or in a hurry, it may destroy the very economic system and dislocate our monetary fabric. This is what has happened now. The benefits of devaluation are less, the disadvantages are more. As a result of the devaluation, what really has happened? The prices have increased. The increase in the administered prices has acted as a catalyst. Already the nation is going through recession. Food production is in the negative. Industrial production has almost registered a zero rate of growth, whereas money supply is increasing fast. The government had undertaken devaluation at this juncture. The non plan expenditure has been growing alarmingly. There is wastage, there is misdirection of resources to which I referred yesterday. It requires proper pruning and chopping in many areas. For instance, on government staff alone, we are paying rupees 12,000 crores every year, which constitutes 10% of our governmental expenditure. There are 40 lakh employees, and it is said that 50,000 posts can be abolished straightway without affecting adversely the efficiency of the government. On the contrary, the efficiency might improve. Sir, we have borrowed money in the past also, but never had the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund dared to impose such conditionalized. There were conditionalized, I know, but not such conditionalized as they are imposing now. Today, before these international institutions, before the Western world, India is appearing as if it were a country of Lilliputians.
Sir, I would submit that the partnership firms, proprietary firms, private limited companies are nothing but glorified partnerships, and the Act should be amended in such a manner that the small private companies are kept outside the purview of this department. Only then the government department can concentrate on the really larger violations where companies have started doing badly, but the balance sheet does not reflect that, with the result that more people start putting deposits and face difficulties later. There are investment companies about which the people do not know, and they do not know whether they have the approval of the Reserve Bank of India or not. And by the time the government machinery acts, a large number of people find themselves duped by these companies, and these companies cannot be stopped unless the company law department is vigilant. But I submit that the company law department cannot be vigilant in the present system, because the present system is conducive to the harassment of the small man, and I find nothing in this amending bill which either disciplines these companies or stops the harassment of the small men or encourages the medium entrepreneur. Therefore, this bill should be rejected, and my submission to the minister through you is that if now this is referred to a select committee, at least all those of us who are interested in it can give specific suggestions. The objective is quite clear. The government wants to rationalize the whole thing. The government wants to make the Companies Act effective, and the social objectives of the government are shared by all of us, and there is no dispute about it. But look at the provision regarding abridging the balance sheet, we giving less information to the shareholders on the accounts. Why should the annual report contain, according to this bill, information on conservation of energy and technology observation? Are small investors interested in these subjects at all now? Will he even understand it? It is highly technical, I am sorry. I have been in business for a long time, and technology absorption is something which I have not been able to absorb at all. So I do not know how a layman will understand that. With this kind of contradiction, I think this bill is a typically bureaucratic bill which only encourages more paperwork. It is good for the bureaucracy and the government. Sir, the four specific things where I would like to draw the attention of the minister are: it has been provided in this bill that private limited companies who accept fixed deposits will be deemed to be public companies. Now, I see an amendment has come that this will not apply to companies getting deposits from relatives, but I venture to say that there are small family companies which can raise deposits from their own friends and associates. Why should they become public companies? They are not getting money from the public in the wider sense. If they are getting loans, they are small loans from commercial banks against securities. But bringing or by roping in all these companies, really what we are doing is that we are not applying the law to these companies but allowing law to become ineffective in the case of big companies. And this is precisely what is happening. For instance, in Mumbai or Calcutta, there are big corporations, companies which deserve to be closely monitored when whether they are following the Companies Act or not. This cannot be done howsoever great our desire may be with a limited number of staff, and every year we probably can go on increasing the personnel in the company law department, but the administration of the act cannot be effective unless we do an ABC analysis and see that only those companies where public money is really involved are closely monitored. And there I say I am totally against this whole concept where we go on providing penalties for infringement. Penalty should act as a deterrent. How far are we able to deter the large companies from violating the law? Here I see a very strange amendment that in the case government does not approve the managing director's appointment, the managing director will be fined rupees 500 per day for the number of days that he refuses to vacate the office. I do not understand this logic. The law should be that government has not approved the managing director's appointment, and the managing director should therefore have vacated the office from the moment government has disapproved of it. But to provide a penalty of a few hundred rupees in the event of his continuing in office for the period when government had disapproved the appointment is very strange. The whole Companies Act should be looked at afresh. There should be a select committee, or the Honorable Minister can, on his own, bring a motion for a joint committee of both houses. Nothing will be lost if this bill is not passed immediately. The bill should be made thorough.
Sir, the House would recall that when I introduced the Constitution 64th Amendment Bill, I had said that government intended to bring forward in the monsoon session major legislation relating to the urban local bodies. We are now fulfilling that commitment already in common parlance. The bill I introduced in the last session is called the Panchayati Raj Bill and this the Nagarpalika Bill. Allow me, sir, to use these familiar names rather than the somewhat difficult official titles. The Nagarpalika Bill supplements the Panchayati Raj Bill. The theme of this bill is the same as that of the other constitutional sanction for maximum democracy and maximum devolution. Even as we see the strengthening of the Panchayati Raj system as the key to eliminating the power brokers from the life of rural India. So, do we see this bill as the key instrument for reducing and eventually eliminating the role of the power brokers in urban India? We seek through these bills to vest power in the only place where power rightfully belongs, in a democracy, in the hands of the people. In the past few days, we have been said witness to the gravest assault on democracy since the founding of our republic, the abandonment of the Lok Sabha by a section of the elected representatives of the people. In the last general elections, the people gave the Congress an overwhelming mandate to govern the country for the 5 years. In the same elections, they returned a few opposition members to occupy the opposition benches for the same 5 years. The members of the opposition were elected to fulfill the vital democratic function of contesting the government and its policies right here on the floor of this house, not in the streets or in the columns of newspapers. We respect those democratic and independent minded members of the opposition who are here with us today to democratically debate the issues of fundamental national importance which I shall be raising. By the same token, we must deplore the behavior of those other members of the opposition who have simply run away from this highest forum. They have abused this noble institution. They have violated their mandate. They have betrayed their constituents. They have eroded democracy itself. Why have they tried to destroy democracy in parliament? I have no doubt that it is primarily because they could not
bear to see democracy prosper here. The people will, of course, consign to the dustbin of history those who have resigned the seats to which they were elected to the present Lok Sabha. Yet, this only increases the responsibility of those of us who have remained in this House to strengthen the foundations of our democracy. Democracy in parliament and in the state legislatures remains fragile so long as the roots of our democracy do not reach down to the villages and mohallas where the people live. Our constitution detailed the provision for democracy in parliament and in the state legislatures. Therefore, democracy in these institutions has survived every vicissitude and flourished. However, our constitution did not make democracy in local self government a constitutional obligation, and so democracy in the panchayat and nagarpalikas has withered at the roots. With these two bills, we shall ensure that the democracy at the grassroots lives. No longer will democracy in local self government be a passing political pastime. Through these bills, democracy in local self government becomes a solemn constitutional obligation, an obligation that can neither be outcasted nor floated for reasons of expediency or indifference. We wanted to come to this house only after consulting all the chief ministers. Tragically, but in keeping with their position to avoid democratic discussions, all but two of the non Congress chief ministers stayed away from the discussions. Many of them refused to let the elected representatives of their parties participate in the Nagarpalika Sammelans, and I believe one of them has dismissed some of those who participated in those discussions. They denied permission to their municipal officers to attend the conference of municipal officers called by the Ministry of Urban Development. We have done our best. We have done all we can to involve them in a nationwide debate. They say there must be consensus before the constitution is amended, but refuse to come for a discussion. How can a consensus be forced without dialogue? Their non cooperation notwithstanding, we come to Parliament at the end of the widest and most intensive series of consultations undertaken in the history of independent India. I have personally interacted with over of 25,000 knowledgeable and experienced persons, most of whom are elected representatives of the people before coming to this house with the Panchayati Raj and Nagarpalika bills times out of number. We have stressed that this is not a center state issue. Why should the constitutional enshrinement of democracy in the panchayats be a bone of contention between the center and the states? Why should reservations of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes and women be a matter of confrontation between the center and the states? Stop.